Hello, everybody. It's me, Corbin Bones, and today I'm going to be talking about the Gnostic and Jungian influences I've been seeing in lots of movies and games and books and all kinds of things. I've just been, ever since I've learned about it, I've just started noticing it in so many things, and some of them could be coincidences, but some of them are clearly obvious inspirations, and not a lot of people talk about it. And I think that that more people should talk about Carl Jung and should talk about Gnosticism because it's had such a ginormous impact on media and culture that it really needs to be discussed on some level. And I'm going to be talking about, first of all, Silent Hill. I think Silent Hill is one of the more obvious ones. Like, that one's clearly inspired by Carl Jung. I mean, it's a psychological horror game, so you'd kind of expect that. But I would say that Silent Hill is sort of like the unconscious mind, and the protagonists of Silent Hill games usually go to Silent Hill to learn something about themselves. You know, they have to acknowledge their shadow self in some sort of way. Usually they have some form of anima show up, and all the monsters are interpreted differently by everyone, but are all still existing in the psychological and like physical world. I would say that there's some pretty clear inspirations. I would say that there's even Freudian inspirations in Silent Hill 2, especially with how perverted James is and how much his sexual thoughts are a key trait to his character. And I would say that Pyramid Head is sort of James's shadow self, his secret desire to be punished, you know, this dark aspect of himself that he doesn't want to acknowledge, while Maria would be his anima, a female self that is like his okay, so when you think of a woman in your mind, like the idea of a woman you have, that's not just an idea, that is a part of you. Say that there is a part of you that has these feminine traits, because the things you think about are part of you. And say you have an idea of a woman that you like a sexy, attractive woman who's, like in James's case, I'm saying it would look like his wife because that's who he loves, but he would want her to be more sexual and sexy because he's a lustful person. So he has like this idea of what a woman should be, and that sort of takes form as his anima. You know, and it becomes sort of the things you think about becoming a part of your personality, whether you realize it or not. And this isn't me saying some crap like John Money, where I'm saying men are women. No, I'm just acknowledging that all men and women have this psychological part of them that tries to think like a woman, or try to think like the opposite sex, at least, I mean. And now, but another thing, too, is that the way God is portrayed in the first Silent Hill game, reminds me a lot of Gnosticism, because there's this darker, deity-like God that looks like the devil, or he looks like Baal. I think that he's supposed to sort of represent the one half of God that Gnostics believe in, which is like the dark half. And they also believe in the lighter half, which is usually an old man, but I've heard Gnostics describe it as a woman before, so I think it's actually, so the bright glowing lady, that is also the other half of God in Silent Hill. Yeah, I think it's clearly at least inspired by Gnosticism, because in Gnosticism, Yahweh is supposed to be the dark half of God, and then Elohim is supposed to be the light half of God. And I would say that also plays into another one of these topics, Mortal Kombat Deception. Mortal Kombat Deception is one of those ones where I don't really think it is, but it has some coincidences that I think that make it really seem like it's inspired by Gnosticism, but really I have no idea, so I can't say for sure. But to me, there are things that could be interpreted in a Gnostic way. Like there's the deceptive, this deceptive god that looks like he's like a dragon god, and there are Gnostics that interpret the Old Testament Yahweh as being a dragon, and he's he's deceiving you to gain power, and that happens a lot in Gnosticism. Like a lot of what Gnostics believe is basically about like sacrificing. It's like in Berserk where he sacrifices his friend for power. That's another thing that's inspired by Gnosticism. There you go. In Berserk, Griffith, he wants to obtain power, and by doing so, he sacrifices his friends. And this is supposed to be like this is like a theme to Gnosticism, is gaining power and not really having morals. This plays into a lot of Nietzsche's ideas and the ideas that inspired Hitler. I'm not necessarily saying Gnosticism has had a good effect on the world. I would say it's pretty mixed, but it's still worth acknowledging. And there's just a lot of interesting things that come from it. And I think another one we could talk about is Fight Club. In Fight Club, I would say Tyler Durden is his shadow self, and I would say that, what's her name? Dang. And Marla Singer would be his anima. And, Tyler Durden has to take him through this journey to become a full person, to become a better person. Literally, this is what Gnosticism is all about. So, it's really undeniable just how much of effect Gnosticism has had on the world. I mean, people watch these movies and play these games and get genuinely inspired in life by them. Art inspires people. And for these kinds of aspects, I can appreciate Gnosticism, and then there are other ones that are just crazy. But there's a lot to it. I think that everybody should check it out. Another example is H.P. Lovecraft. H.P. Lovecraft was definitely inspired by Gnosticism. Now when I read it, it seems really clear to me. Like in From Beyond, he literally talks about the pineal gland, and there's like all kinds of there's all kinds of references in From Beyond to Jungian ideas, and just a lot of H.P. Lovecraft's stories seem pretty inspired by Gnosticism. Like Cthulhu is supposed to be like the fear of the unknown. That's a big thing in Carl Jung's ideas. And H.P. Lovecraft himself was actually a fan of Carl Jung, so that's another one where the inspiration is kind of obvious. It's just interesting that his horror, it's psychological horror. Like a lot of psychological horror is inspired by by Carl Jung.
Comment: Valerie Flowers is the best YouTuber. I'm his biggest fan. He really entertains me with his videos. What a guy.
Hilarious and original. Hilarious and original. Hilarious and original. Hilarious and original.